Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is Steel Curtain Network editor Dave Schofield coming at you Tuesday night, just a little bit after 9 p.m. Where else would you rather be as a Steelers fan, except maybe watching the show on the Steelers right now, but that's up to you. And with me, as always, except when he's not, is my big brother Rich. Rich, how's it going tonight?
I will ask it first. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry, my mic's doing some weird things. So
yeah, I saw that when you came in, you were muted, but you're not. I can hear you. You're good.
Okay. Wish I was breathing, not breathing. But we shall go on. The world will go on. Just like, shall we take a trip down memory lane? Today's episode of the Scho Bro Show will have lots of number 7s. So, okay, because December 17th, 2017, exactly 7 years ago today, the Pittsburgh Steelers were denied 7 points when number 7 for the Steelers, we all know, completed that pass because Jesse James caught that ball.
Caught that ball. Yeah. He caught that ball. He did.
Caught that ball. So,
I was actually looking about, because this was before I was with, our previously behind the steel curtain. That was before I was with that, and I was just writing stuff on my own for my own Facebook page, and I had a breakdown of that play and how it's actually I used it as one of my because I had asked you, hey, what have I written that you think's all right? And I asked someone else their opinion. They said, oh, the stuff about the Jesse James catch. How the problem with that, I had this all stirred up in me again this morning, that it was because the rule was you had to have enough evidence to overturn it. But as soon as they saw a bobble, they felt like they had to see the evidence that he caught it. And that's not how it works. And 2, they completely didn't even look at, his hand disappears. Where could his hand possibly be? Well, the only logical place his hand could be was between the ball and the ground. So
Nope. He went all Back to the Future, and his hand was just disappeared.
Yeah. That's the only other explanation that it could have been. So so we're dealing with that. But you know what? We had some heartache on that day 7 years ago. We're still dealing with a little bit of heartache right now from this past weekend. But you know what? It's a shorter week. It's not. I don't call it a short week. I call it a shorter week. Okay. It's 1 day shorter.
Yeah. And
the Steelers, they're already back. They had their first official practice, although it was just a walkthrough, but we had an injury report and everything from that because they're getting ready to head to that putrid purple city and to take on the Bratbirds to they have the opportunity to clinch the AFC North. The question is, hopefully they will get the job done to do it. Now, even if they don't win the game, it's not like they lost the North. It's not like it was on Christmas. What year was that? My goodness, why can't I remember what year that was? The Christmas Day game, was that 2016, 2015? No, it had to be at least. It was 2015. Yeah, right. I don't know. The Immaculate Extension when they the winner of that game was going to win the division.
Yeah,
it wasn't like 2014 where the winner of the game on week 17 on Sunday Night Football won the division. It's not one of those. It's where the Steelers have the opportunity. They'll have the opportunity. They'll continue to have the opportunity, but this one would seal the deal. But before we do that, we're gonna go ahead.
I wasn't done.
You weren't done? Oh, okay.
No, because tonight's episode is also sponsored by the number 6.
Okay.
I promised I would do this, so that's why I'm here. So tonight, the number 6 will be out there for exactly 6 years, specifically 6 years old. Okay? Because we got to meet what I think is the youngest fan of our show this weekend at 6 years old.
Oh, that's right.
And I promised him I would get him a shout out on the Scho Bro Show. So we were at we had our sister's funeral was this past weekend.
Yes.
And in typical Schofield fashion, the best things about weddings and funerals are having a lot of family together that we don't get to see very often.
Yes.
So mine and Dave's, I don't even know how. I'll just explain it the long way around. Our first cousin Ken, his son Brandon, Brandon's son, who I had not met before. You ever met him before?
No, I had not met him.
Okay, so we met him at the funeral for the first time. I've been following this kid since before he was born. His name is Axel Harvey. So Axel,
Yep.
I hope you're listening at some point. But I don't know him as Axel because before he was born, he was given the nickname the Raptor. So I've just always known him as Raptor. So finally got to, at 6 years old, meet Raptor. He is a huge Steelers fan, loves the Scho Bro Show, and was head over heels that he got to finally meet the two of us this past weekend.
I met him as soon as I got out of the car before I even made it to the sidewalk. You know, I just made it up to the sidewalk to get to church, and he was so excited to meet a YouTuber. That's what he told me.
Yep.
So, and honestly, I also wanted to give a shout out to our cousin Ken during the post game show because he told me he'd be listening because he generally does, but I didn't get to because I was too worked up, too fired up. As we said, we kind of had a big weekend. It was, like you say, it was a sad moment, but yet it was really good to see family. And honestly,
some family and friends I hadn't seen in years.
And yes, it had been 2 weeks since our sister had passed, and that our brother-in-law and our nieces decided to wait that long. But it was really nice to, one, have it on a weekend, and two, give family enough time around this busy time of year to where they could make it, which really did make it
Very
nice to catch up with a lot of people. But at the same time, I was not in a good mood on Sunday before the game started just because of the weekend. And for those of you that are here now, you might have been able to tell in the post-game show that I was not in a good mood. I was, because of the high emotions of the weekend, and I kind of was a little bit harsh at the end.
Well, I didn't get to see that because I could tell you were in a mood, and guess what? I was in the same kind of mood, and probably less than 10 minutes in, I shut it off and didn't watch the post-game show.
I knew you were in a mood when I saw your headline to knee-jerk reaction, which I did have to change, by the way.
I know. I expected it. I expected it was.
It was a message more towards me than it was for everybody else. But I said something. And let's just say it. I'm going to apologize for being so harsh, but I'm not backing off how I feel about the statement. The people that were there wasn't blaming the loss on Coach Tomlin. They were blaming the loss on the fact that Coach Tomlin is still the coach. And I called them stupid. And I'll be honest with you.
That is stupid.
It is stupid. Because you know what I'm really tired of?
They may not be, the people themselves might not be stupid, but the statement itself is stupid.
Doesn't mean, and that's the thing, just because you say something emotional that doesn't make sense at that time, I meant it was stupid. I mean, I shouldn't have done it and meant that the people were, because trust me, I'm a pretty intelligent person by trade, but I can say stupid stuff.
Oh, trust me. I've had more than my fair share of stupid things that I've said in my lifetime.
So now the thing that I don't like, because I got to premise it with this, because I have to do this so many times that it frustrates me to no end. Okay. But my goodness, every time the Steelers lose a game, It's not because because they haven't fired Coach Tomlin yet. Every time. I mean, can you give it a rest a little bit? Okay? Now, were there things with the game and things going on with the Steelers that frustrate me? Absolutely. Are there things that I'm frustrated with Coach Tomlin? And we're going to get to some of that because we're going to talk about how the Steelers need to change the script moving forward. We'll even get that a little bit more precisely. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that, he should have been fired years ago. Because here's the first thing I'm going to bring up to you, Rich. I did this 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I wrote the article. This is when we were behind the steel curtain. I wrote the article about when the Steelers got beat pretty bad by the Eagles in Philadelphia 2 years ago. And I got thinking about that article again, and I'm like, you know what? It's a little bit better than the last time, but not completely. And that was, if we were to once again form the Steagles, how many of the Steelers would be starters? And I look especially offensively. And I'm like, who would be the starter? And I was going 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running. I was going 11 personnel. Okay. If you would 2 tight ends, that made it a little bit easier. Okay. The 5 offensive linemen and the quarterback. And I'm like, when you look offensively, how many players from the Steelers do you think would be the starters? Okay. Well, first of all, outside Steeler fans already got it. If you're doing 3 and you don't have to fight over the order, then Pickens is in there for sure. I would say I would put Pickens at 2.
Yeah,
I would do Brown, Pickens, Smith.
Brown, Pickens, Smith. Yes,
exactly. That would be my 3. Tight end is really curious, but are you counting Dallas Goedert, who's currently on IR? I'd still make the argument for Freiermuth, but I could also see why people would make the argument otherwise. Or you could just include 2 tight ends, and that way you have them both.
Yeah.
Okay. The argument at quarterback is a legit argument. You have the resume of Russell Wilson up against the youth yet plenty of experience of Jalen Hurts.
But Jalen Hurts gets knocked in some of the same ways and for some of the same things people knock on Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So that is interesting.
Yeah. And honestly, when it came to the offensive line, the only one you can consider is Zach Frazier.
That's funny. That's the one I was thinking. Yeah, right now.
And I actually looked it up to see, according to PFF scores, which, take them for what they're worth, but just to get a better judge, because I don't watch enough Eagles games. Zach Frazier is ranked higher than, oh my goodness, his name just escaped me. Cam Jurgens. He's ranked higher than him in a PFF score. So I would say, and especially being young and, but none of the other, I mean, even Sayamalu, who used to be a starter on that line, my goodness, the Eagles have basically upgraded since he left and went to Pittsburgh. So, and plus you talk about those guys playing together as well. So if you look at it offensively, it's other, and if defensively, you could say, well, the Steelers, they really do have some firepower. Yes, they do. But the Philadelphia Eagles have the number 1 defense in the NFL.
But you're not looking at it like that. See, because and this is where it comes down to it. Mm-hmm. How many times have we seen the league and have what they call the no name defense or because it's a bunch of guys who are just the right fit together. Not saying that the Eagles don't have some guys out there on defense. Don't get me wrong. But, Well,
I mean, if you look at it, let's just go strictly by PFF scores, just because I have them up here in front of me. There wouldn't be any cornerbacks from the Steelers. None.
That doesn't surprise me.
Okay. Safety, you would have Deshaun Elliott.
Yeah.
Just ahead of C.J. Gardner-Johnson, with the number 1 being Reed Blankenship. All right?
Part of that though is PFF has a hatred for Minkah Fitzpatrick for some reason. Yeah. So, like you said, you got to take that with a grain of salt.
I mean, linebacker. you're talking, believe it or not, the highest ranked linebacker is on the Steelers. It's Landon Roberts, according to PFF. Roberts is 5th, Peyton Wilson's 11th, and Patrick Queen's 59th because, he didn't start the season as strong, and they asked him to do a whole lot more. But the best one is still, however you say it, Bond for the Eagles. He's the second best linebacker in the NFL PFF score right now. Then they have other people that have even higher scores that just don't have enough snaps. So then you look at the defensive line. That's kind of obvious who's going to be the top one there.
That would have to be Captain Cam Hayward.
He's the number one defensive lineman in the entire NFL.
As the way he's played this year, he should be.
Number one, okay?
Yeah.
So obviously him, and then Keanu Benton is 22, if you look at those ranks. I know we're just doing this like that. He would still be behind Jalen Carter. So if they went with a 3-4, then it would be Cam, Benton, and Carter. Oh my goodness.
Man, could you imagine? Could you imagine? Yeah, that's a defensive line. Yeah. That is pretty interesting.
But when it comes to, like I say, these are just PFF scores. Edge, obviously, it's actually both the Steelers. It's Watt and Highsmith.
Yeah.
So the defense is split pretty even, probably about how it should be.
Yeah.
But the offense is not. So, but you want to know what's nice? It's a lot closer than it was 2 years ago. It really is.
It is.
So you have to admit, and sometimes we take that out of it. The Steelers were playing not just arguably the best team in the NFL, they are the hottest team in the NFL. I mean, now they've won 10 in a row. They were going up against very well the best. I mean, I know this is a Steelers show, but my goodness, if you look at that NFC, the poor Detroit Lions that have had a phenomenal year, they're just getting ripped with injuries.
21 guys.
I mean, it's just crazy what's going on with them. So the thing is, can they overcome the attrition to get to the Super Bowl? And that's why I keep telling people, you got to wait until you got to see how teams are playing in December to try to really get your pick. I mean, some people were asking me at the service after the service on Sunday about, who you like for the Super Bowl? I'm like, well, I like the Lions, but my goodness, they play the Bills this week. Things could fall apart for them. Things could fall apart. You're kind of thinking, are things going to fall apart for the Eagles because they did last year? But hopefully my goodness, they've been working for an entire year to get back to where they are now to say we're not falling apart this time. So you have to admit they're a quality opponent. But I'll be honest with you. Like the Steelers had to play the Philadelphia Eagles again. I know, and so many people wanted to take this after the game. Steelers just show that they can't hang with the top teams in the NFL. Well, I'm arguing that they had to play the top team in the NFL in their place. Okay, they can't hang with the top teams in the NFL, and they're still, and all, I get it. I do. But you know what? If they play the Eagles again this season, it's going to be on a neutral field. And it's going to hopefully be with George Pickens and Deshaun Elliott. And it's going to be with 2 weeks of prep. I would definitely, right now, if you ask me to take that bet right now, I'm like, would the Steelers win the game? I don't know. But I definitely believe they closed the gap.
They would probably they would go into that game as underdogs, and I'd take the Steelers in the points. Yeah, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like I'd put the money on the Steelers to cover.
Yeah. So that's what I took.
If not, win outright.
Because let's talk about this game. I know we're almost 20 minutes in, and we've talked about ideas and things, and I can't wait till we really talk about how changing the script. Well, we're going to kind of talk about this. The reason I say the Steelers need to change the script moving forward is they can't keep doing the same things that they've done so far to get here, and think that it's going to keep being fine. Because teams, Coach Sean says it all the time. It's chess, not checkers. You've got to keep doing things differently. You've got to keep tweaking things, introducing new things, and things of that nature. But where they really needed to change the script, and I went off on this in the post-game show, you've got to whatever you're doing to script the beginning of your game, you've got to throw it in the trash can and just take a whole different approach to it. Yeah, I don't know if it's because it's too many cooks in the kitchen, and even if it's Mike Tomlin, like I said, I'm so tired of you can't say anything critical of Mike Tomlin because people are saying, see, that's why he should be fired. No, I want to be real about it. If Mike Tomlin has his hand in the opening script, he needs to get his hand out of there because the opening script has sucked all year.
I think I could pull an opening script just as good as how many plays you want scripted? 15? Okay, put all the Steelers plays up on the wall. Let me throw some darts.
Yeah.
Because it would turn out, it couldn't turn out any worse.
And we talk about all the Steelers do a good job of making adjustments. Well, the question is if they're better making the decisions in the moment, then don't script.
Don't script.
Make the decisions in the moment. Just because everyone else does it doesn't mean you have to. Because, I mean, granted, I was coaching freshman high school football as an offensive coordinator. I knew what play I was running the first play of the game. It was a bread and butter play. Depending on what happened on that play would determine what I was running the next play. If it's stuff for nothing, I'm going one direction. If it's so I had an idea in my mind, but that second play probably had about 5 different options based on how that play was executed. And if we run for 15 yards, guess what we're doing to the next play? We're running the same freaking thing. Yeah. And I would do it until they stopped it. But still, that's the thing. And it's funny because I know outside Steeler fan says, please scrap the toss, at least to Najee. It's not the toss. It's the toss sweep.
Yeah.
You talked about that. Where they run this toss counter, it's actually pretty good. But now, why do you toss the counter?
Or what I call, so they run, I see 3 different ways they run with that toss. They run the toss sweep. They run what I call the quick toss. The quick toss is an extremely short toss, and the run goes off tackle.
Yeah.
And then they run the counter toss, which looks very similar to the one that goes off tackle, but is built to be cut back.
Bottom line is, you can't run the same play every time you toss it, or every time you see that toss going out quick, the defense is going to it. The fact that they have different things to do from it is good. But I'll be honest with you, some work better than others, obviously.
Correct.
And honestly, that was not a bad play. That was a bad catch.
I
still think Najee would have been fine running that ball if he just catches the ball and runs it.
Yeah, if he catches that ball and runs it, it's probably a 4-yard gain.
Yeah. On first down, which
is fine. That would have been fine. But the one thing you can't do as a running back, and you can say that it was because of the toss. No, this is what gets into running backs when they miss handoffs, and that is they change where their focus is. Najee's focus went from catching the toss to trying to get an early read on the blocking to make this run. And it cost him.
He took for granted that he was going to secure the ball.
The same way you see running backs will do it and actually miss the handoff from the quarterback. And you see them doing the same things. Their focus gets off of what's right in front of them, and they're thinking that to a step or two ahead. And if you do that, you're in trouble.
And you know what? Quality defenses can do that because the Pittsburgh Steelers have been able to do that to others. You got to think about T.J. Watt being out there or Alex Highsmith. The next thing you know, you focus on them just enough that you mess up what you're doing. So and there was people. Like I said, I know it's knee jerk, it's emotional. I hope we all calm down by the time we hit here. But it was with everything going on in life, I just had enough of it. So people that continually want to troll about Mike Tomlin, I just don't get it. It's like the Steelers they did not have a very good out. And Mike Tomlin, he's the first one to own it. He's like, we didn't coach well enough, we didn't scheme well enough, we didn't execute well enough. And you know what?
Look,
2 out of 3 of them go on him and his staff. He's saying it. And you know what? He's right. He's right. It wasn't good enough against an unfamiliar opponent that you were trying to figure out what you were doing. But I tell you what, if the Steelers could play the Eagles again this year, would be fantastic, because I think the Steelers learned more about the Eagles than maybe what the Eagles learned about the Steelers.
Yes.
If they have to go for it. Silver lining, okay? So, but bottom line is, there are two aspects of this game where the Steelers just got crushed. One, I put on the offense. One, I put on the defense. And neither one of them is excusable. Because when I was complaining about the offense being so bad to start the game, so bad to start the game, then people would be like, how could you blame it on that? They only had 11 plays in the second half. Right. But that's a different issue. Both things can be the problem. So, I mean, that was just an embarrassing start. They got 3 points through the first 20 minutes because they had to stack takeaways back to back in order to then kick a field goal.
Yep.
Now, we can get into if the Steelers would have scored 4 more points from that. I like what Coach Tomlin said yesterday. I'm so used to it being Tuesdays that he speaks, but he's had to speak Monday because of the shorter week, sorry. And said, you know what? When you're not playing well, those things get magnified. The officiating and the mistakes made there get magnified. When you're playing well to overcome them, then you don't have to focus on that.
Yeah.
He's right.
He's
right.
correct.
I mean, now, was it ridiculous that, my goodness, he threw 2 punches? 2 punches with the official standing right
looking
there.
at him. And he threw the one is when the official went and grabbed the flag or the hat. Or,
yeah.
And it's like, I thought, oh, there it goes. And it's like, but they then get and huddle together and decide to ignore that part. It's also the long huddles to discuss, and then to have that long a time to talk as a group, and then mess it up, and then mess it up that bad.
Yeah, to supposedly be in communication with New York, who was watching the footage and said that it didn't happen, and said that there wasn't a punch thrown. So,
yeah, not only was there a punch thrown, it was a punch that was enough that the player should have been ejected. He should have just been penalized. He should have been ejected. Yes.
So now, do I understand why they flagged Darnell Washington? I do.
I don't know. I felt like I was watching The Blind Side on that one.
People were talking about. He was talking about that today. He's like, oh, he said what they say about it. They said they loved. He said, what, what's your coaches and teammates said about it? They loved it, but don't do it again. Bottom line is,
what's the flag for? I don't know. Excessive blocking. The flag,
but something based on playing football. Not throwing the punch. And I still don't know what Calvin. I know he got into the mix with stuff, but I still don't know what he did that got flagged.
I don't know. Maybe they thought he was the guy throwing the punch. Maybe the ref was colorblind.
Yeah. So anyway, but you know what? If the Steelers overcome that penalty and score a touchdown, we're not even talking about it.
Nope.
But instead, they only get 3 points. So, I mean, 2 yards in the first quarter. And here's what's ultimately the most frustrating thing about it, Rich. And I know you're as frustrated about it as I am. I put it in my numbers article. At what drive? Now, remember, the Steelers got the ball. It was a 3-and-out because they punted the ball. And then got the ball back on a fumble. That technically starts a new drive.
Yes,
that's a new drive.
Yes, it is.
How many drives did the Steelers have before they had a first down?
5.
They had 5 drives with no first downs.
Yes. How
many drives did they have from that drive where they got a first down and on for the rest of the game?
3.
4 including that drive.
Yeah.
So it was 3 more after that one. So to me, the thing that their offense has to reset is assuming that you're going to get another opportunity. That, we're not getting it done now. Got to go back and get it better next drive. My goodness, they said that with 10 and a half minutes left in the game, and there wasn't one.
Yeah.
So it's that whole idea of that they need to have more of a sense of urgency early and not assume that you're going to get all these chances to then put up points.
Yeah, because the Steelers possessed the ball twice in the second half.
Yeah, that was
Twice.
my other number 2 that I had from the
two possessions.
2 possessions
in the second half.
Yeah.
Now,
one was ended with a fumble, and the other one was set back big time by a penalty.
While you're on that number 2,
yeah.
If I were to take one thing from this, it would be like, okay, if the Steelers could have wrapped up the second quarter and had that the whole game, they'd have been better off.
Well, I mean, because here's what's ridiculous if you think about this, and I know we need to take our break. How much the Steelers, won the second quarter, and I mean even into the third. Think about this. Okay, now granted, it was 10-10 when you look at everything, but the Steelers were down 17-3. Okay, they're down 17-3. Then and they get the ball, and they score a touchdown to make it 17-10. Then they get their only punt of the game.
Yep.
It was a 3-and-out. Only punt of the game by Philly. Get the ball back and put up 3 before the half. Okay? If we want to talk about that sequencing here a little bit, we can. But I was frustrated with something within that, but not what everyone else was frustrated. Then the Steelers come out in the second half, and you're like, okay, well, the second half was just awful. Think about it. The Eagles had a 13-play drive to start the second half that took over 7 minutes off the clock.
Yeah, it was almost 8 minutes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was just over. It was under 8 minutes when the Steelers when they finished. Anyway.
Yep.
And they held them to a field goal, which meant it was a 7-point game. And the Steelers had the ball, and they were moving.
Inside the 30-yard line.
Yeah. Inside the 30-yard line.
The fumble killed them. The fumble, I mean, I said when it happened.
Philadelphia took over at their 26 on that fumble. Yeah. Because if you go back to that moment, the Steelers you're talking 3, and they looked like they were kind of honing in on 7. So you talk about as bad as a start as they had a moment in the third quarter where they were almost right there ready to tie the game up and make things really interesting. And then it kind of fell apart. So when you think about it, they were 14 points away, but it wasn't.
They lost out on opportunities. They didn't take
advantage of that opportunity.
The same way they didn't take advantage of the opportunities of the turnovers in the first half to the extent they should have. So it was I want to say in the end, that game, although the Steelers were totally outgained on offense ridiculously, that game was actually a bit of a closer game if you really, really dig deep into it.
Yes.
Or had the opportunity to be a much closer game.
Well, bottom line is, it was a, hold on. Let me look at exactly. I'm trying to figure out now, at what time did the fumble happen? I'm looking. When Najee Harris fumbled,
do you want to say they were 3 something left in the third?
Actually, just under 6.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. So you're talking about, so let's round that off to 6 left in the third. So you're talking about this. For the first 20 minutes, Steelers are completely outplayed. The offense can't do squat. For the final 20 minutes after the Najee fumble, defense couldn't get a stop. The offense couldn't, they only had one drive that was set back. They were still looking all right on that drive until a 15-yard penalty, that really holds stuff back. All right. So they got outplayed the first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes. But that middle 20 minutes, that's the thing that you have to say, that if the Steelers can tap into those 20 minutes for 60 minutes, that makes a really good game against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. So when you say that it's all bad, that's because the most recent thing was the last 20 minutes. I'm really frustrated with the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But there's stuff to build on that middle 20 minutes. You just need more of that. And also, people that were like, oh, Najee Harris needs cut right now. Okay. Well, perfect. I'm glad you brought that up. I wasn't even on the screen. I just clicked back to it and saw that it was up there. Well, Brian Brown says, Najee has only fumbled 2 or 3 times like ever. So I can't be too mad at him. Bad time to drop the ball though. It's kind of like
Juju Smith. That's exactly what I was going to. That's why I brought it up to bring up was Juju Smith-Schuster. Everybody used to say, he fumbles, fumble problem.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
He did not. He just fumbled at the absolute worst time.
Worst time that everybody would remember. So.
Okay, AFL 67 is a Dave Stack question. If you score a touchdown on 3rd and 6 from the 40, is that a first down? Because, you made the line. A touchdown is a first down.
Yep.
A touchdown is a first down because you passed the line to game. If you're on offense and you score a touchdown, that is also considered a first down. So, good question. So, so people that were saying, about with
Najee.
With Najee. Yeah, that's just one of those emotionally. Hey, let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back. I've got a couple key things I want to bring into, and then we've really got to talk about this week. So if you're with us here live, we're not going anywhere. If you're with us here on the audio side, stick around. We'll be right back after this break.
Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax. Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax.
Rich, sometimes we just need that break. We need to take more breaks. Sometimes I should have had that up there for the post game show, so I could just keep playing our breaks in the middle. There. Relax, don't worry. No, I'm not going to say don't worry. Are you worried about this weekend?
Worried? No, I don't worry. I don't always have tons of confidence, but not having a ton of confidence is not the same as worrying.
Yes, I mean honestly, I don't have a lot of confidence going into this game. I don't. But you know what? If the Steelers win it, I feel kind of like this past week, it puts them in such a great position. I mean, honestly, I don't know that the Steelers could catch the Bills, but I wouldn't be shocked if maybe even the Steelers could catch the Chiefs if things fell the right way. But we just have to see how that all plays out. But I don't know the Chiefs. They'd have to lose all 3 of their games. I don't think they'll lose all 3 of them. So probably not. Really, I was eyeing the number 2 seed if at all the Steelers could get there. But that probably seems a little bit out of reach. They would have had to probably beat the Eagles to do that. But right now, more than anything, they got to win the North. You got to win the North. You don't want to be the 5 or the 6. You want to be the 3. So we'll have to see how that is. And like outside Steelers fan says, we always take the Ravens seriously. Yes. We talked before about that big key play of the Najee Harris fumble. Najee Harris fumble, that was a really big play. There are some other plays that were just as big that the Steelers kept coming up on the wrong side of things.
Yep.
Over and over. The first one came with 5 minutes and 5 seconds left in the third quarter. After the Najee Harris fumble, what did the Eagles do in the next drive? Okay. First down, incomplete pass. Second down, short pass to A.J. Brown for 5 yards. The Steelers are looking at a 3rd and 5, and they give up a pass to Devonta, it's spelled with an A anyway, to Smith for 6 yards. The Steelers could, if they get off the field on that 3rd down, we're looking at a very similar game that you were just a minute of clock time before that. You're looking at the Steelers with the ball, down 7, chance to do something, but they didn't. And Then another one on the same drive, 3rd and 9 from the Steelers 15. They could have held him to 3, and they give up and they give up a short pass for 14 yards all the way down to the 1-yard line.
Yep.
And then give up the tush push. Then after the Steelers get the ball back, I'm going to ask you. I have yet to see anything definitive on the replay. I still keep saying it. Tripping isn't just where your legs trip up the other person. It's not your fault if they trip over you. You have to actually try to trip them. Did you? I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just didn't see anything that showed Zach Frazier actually try to trip him.
Right. I didn't see anything where it showed he made an effort to do it. He gets launched into the air and onto the ground rolling, and the guy trips over his legs.
Yeah. So that one that killed that drive.
Yes,
and honestly, that one surprised me because I thought maybe with the Steelers down 2 scores that the officials, liking to do the things that they do. New York loves close games. That would have been. And honestly, that's what really surprised me about after the Steelers punt. New York loves close games. Did you see the still shots of?
Oh my! The
Still
shots. I've watched it over and over.
Up against Connor Hayward's face or helmet. So he'd already made the motion, and the ball is just coming out of Waitman's hand to kick it.
Dave, if you go back and look at it from the end zone view or a view from back there, you can't even see Waitman. All right, but whoever it was from the Eagles, his hand he's already committed the penalty and taken his hand away, and you see the ball go.
Yeah. Yep.
How is that after the kick?
Yeah. Because then they're like, oh, was it after and it is a timing issue. It's not that it happens after the snap, and therefore it has to be what happens before the kick versus after the kick. See, because here's the thing that I don't understand. How that works with different rules. Because they don't rough the kicker before he kicks it.
Yeah.
They rough the kicker after he kicks it.
Yeah.
But yet you get to keep the ball.
You get to keep the ball. Huh. Isn't that interesting?
That unnecessary roughness works that way.
Technically, if you ask me my opinion, how it should work.
I mean, it might be an issue with the rule, but yeah. So
how it should work, or what makes the most sense, is if the penalty is committed before there is an actual change of possession, it should be treated as the offense would keep the ball.
Well, bottom line is if the defense is holding or has a illegal block in the back before the ball gets to the punter, they're doing that as an action of a team with the ball.
Correct.
Not a team without the ball.
Yeah.
So to me, it's all about the action. Are you acting as a defensive in a defensive position with the other team on offense, or are you acting as if you're the offense with the other teams on defense? Because remember, that ball's in the air for a long time. So that was just, we can whine about that they got those wrong. And like I said, I'm surprised they didn't want to keep the game closer. That would have made it interesting because the Steelers then would have still had the ball. They still would have been down 2 scores, but they would have had
been on about the 32, 30, let's see, 47. Yeah, about the 32-yard line.
Well, because they punted from the 46. They'd have been at the 31.
It was the 40. I thought it was the 47, but okay, yeah.
I've got the play-by-play right here with me.
Gotcha.
So you're pretty much right on there. So yeah, they would have. I mean, they would have once field goal range, but at that point you would have been going for 7 no matter what. Some people are really upset about the fact that Tomlin punted there. I loved his answer because I thought he was right. There's 10 and a half minutes left in the game. Yes, you're at the 41. But you need 7 yards for the first down.
Yeah.
And when he said anything more than 5 is really tough because then you have to max protect and you don't have as many people out in the because you got to have more time to get 7 yards downfield and things of that nature. And my goodness, when the Steelers pinned, they downed it at the 4, the penalty docked it back to the 2. They got another penalty back to the 1. And I'm thinking the Steelers might have a chance to get 2 points. But instead, you have what might have been one of the most pivotal plays of the game. And that was...
There's actually 2 in here, but go ahead. You get one. I'll get the other
first one, obviously, on 3rd and 6 from Philly's own 7-yard line. They give up a 21-yard pass to A.J. Brown. If you get off the field right there, even if it's completed in bounds and the clock runs, that punt is happening just outside of 9 minutes left in the game. So you're getting the ball back with 9 minutes left in the game. Yeah, you're down 2 scores. You might even still be looking at something like an onside kick. But that's a whole lot different than what ended up ultimately happening. And yeah, there was multiple 3rd downs, even a 4th down on that last one. But that first one, to
me, it's here where you get to that 4th down. You got 3rd and 8, right?
Yeah.
We drop back into what I call the Steelers in their famous guard the sticks, right? And they really could have gotten him for a gain of about 4 to 5. Still let him push through, get it to where it's that 4th and 1. And that's dumb because the Eagles are just going to go up and go for it.
I said it in the post-game show.
You can't against a team like the Eagles. You can't play to get them to 4th and 1 because they're going to go for it more often than not, and they're going to convert it almost every time.
And I said that in the post-game show. I'm like, you have to when you get to those weighty downs that Coach Tomlin talks about, you've got to take 3 yards off of what they got to gain. You got to protect 3 yards earlier.
Yep.
If it's 3rd and 8, you got to think 3rd and 5. Or the worst one, 3rd and 13, outside of field goal range, and you give up 12. And the Eagles could have, with 4 minutes left, kicked the field goal to go up 30-13. But instead, they do the tush push, 2 yards. They never give it up again.
Nope.
There was a 3rd and 13 that they were willing to give up 12, and it cost them. They've got to learn that lesson if they ever face Philly. Yeah, that's good. Yep.
Well, which to me just goes to another one of my sometimes frustrations with the Steelers defense. They'll play very aggressive on 1st and 2nd down to get to that 3rd and long and then change what they're doing. Why not keep doing the thing that got you to that?
Yeah.
3rd and long. But instead then it's guard the sticks. And that just doesn't work out well enough.
Yeah.
For the Steelers. Enough.
Yes, that was not the way to go with that one. So hold on. Anything else you want to say about this one? Because it's time to turn that page. But yeah, we try to break it down as much as we can. But I really feel about that. I mean, do you kind of agree with me when I said it with the 20-minute things? First 20 minutes sucked off.
That's kind of why I was talking about that second quarter. Yes, there was a time frame in the game where the Steelers were playing well on both sides of the football. They just, but hasn't that kind of been our gripe with the Steelers all years? That they just, too many games don't put together 60 minutes of good football?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm going to. I just can't get over. One of the things that I can't get over is that the Steelers had, the Steelers had nine possessions. 5 of those 9 possessions started in the first quarter.
Yes, I know. I know.
It's just crazy.
Yes, it is. It's just crazy. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it is. So, yeah. All right. Well, I mean, we could talk about stuff at the end of the first. I got frustrated at the end of the first half because I felt that the Steelers, that's one thing I'm going to say. When Russell Wilson got sacked, they shouldn't have called a timeout. There was like
Correct. I agree.
48 seconds left. To me, you even freaking huddle up.
Mm-hmm.
You knew you weren't going for the first down. You were trying to get in field goal range.
Yep.
By calling the timeout, then you're like, oh, well, we'll run a play, and then we can run it down low to then kick it. We'll have enough time to run the team out to kick it. No, but you gave the Eagles a chance to call a timeout because they knew they were getting the ball back. Luckily, the Steelers ended the half with a sack, and it didn't burn them. But the Eagles got the ball back with what, 40 seconds and at least one, if not two timeouts.
Yep.
And that was, to me, you let that clock run down and you don't rush it and you get your right play and you snap that ball with 15 to 10 seconds left in the game, in the half.
In the half.
And you run and you get the yards, because if you don't get them, then you're going to have to bring out the punt team. If the Eagle, if it's something that's still in bounds and you don't get close enough for the field goal, and you're going to let it run down to 3 seconds before you call a timeout, and then you're making your 3 points the last 3 points of the half. That's why I'm like, don't panic and call your last timeout after that sack when you had 40 some seconds left. So just throwing that out there from a philosophical thing. Let's do it. Let's get to it. We've got $5 dingo dollars. Dingo dollars from Marky D, Steelers Nation, Australia. Next time I say Bungles suck, I'll be in Pittsburgh. Go Steelers. That's right. Marky D is coming to the U.S. I told him a long time ago that we had to try to figure out a way to try to see Marky D while he's in the country.
Marky D, if you're going to the Steelers game, I'd love to, yeah.
Yeah. Big Bro's going to be there.
I'm going to that game.
My status right now, because honestly, technically I haven't got rid of my tickets to the final game yet. I had someone that's asked that's they're kind of spoken for, but we haven't finished the deal. Which reminds me, I got to check in with them. Part of that is because I'm holding off for playoffs. I want a home playoff game.
Playoffs?
Yeah, I don't want to have to go and then go the very next weekend for a playoff. Last time I did that, it didn't work out well. That was the infamous Ben Tate game. Troy Polamalu's last game. Yeah. I was there for that after being there the week before. So that's kind of what I'm waiting to see with everything. So, yeah. I'll be the Australian bloke in the crowd. Oh, Marky D, well, don't worry. I'll be reaching out to you in some way, somehow. Got to figure something out.
I'll then just keep an ear out for the Australian accent in the cheering, and I'll track you down, Marky D.
So I don't know if he's going to both games, but I know he's going to the Chiefs game. So, because that's what at least he told me earlier when we talked earlier this year. So, yeah. So that's just one of those things. All right, let's get moving to this game. Don't know how many people.
Hold on. Brian Brown says, "Hey, Marky D, you sitting in a Swifty suite?"
He says just the Chiefs game. I'll be honest with you, but Marky D's going to be, if he's going to be in the country, I'm not going to pull my tickets back from someone who I offered him to. That's really tempting to say, all right, Marky D, you're sitting with me.
Yeah.
So you're going again. So
I'd invite him to go with me, but I already set someone up to go with me.
Yeah, you already have someone going with you. So, I mean, you don't get, I mean, my goodness. I'm still mad that I couldn't find Matty P. We were just constantly missing each other throughout that when I was with you and Alex and Bad for that Buffalo game. And we just couldn't cross paths. So, we'll have to get that. Let's get into this one. Rich,
let's talk.
It's the Ravens. We don't have to talk too much about it because we know what's coming.
Yep.
The Steelers have won the last 4 in Baltimore. The Steelers have won 8 of the last 9 against the Ravens. And yet, let's see, the Steelers are still have a better record than the Ravens. Okay, the Ravens have a higher ranked offense. the Steelers are this. You can talk about all these things. The Ravens are favored by it's the biggest point spread of a Steelers-Ravens game since the COVID game in 2020, which was the Steelers' 11th game of the 11th game win streak that was played 6 days later, if you remember.
Yes.
Supposed to be on Thanksgiving night, ended up being the following Wednesday. There hasn't been a spread this big since then. So it's just kind of how it's looking. But you know what? It's the Ravens. Does any of that really matter?
No, it doesn't.
No.
Found that out earlier this year. That everything you think you know about it that could be for a Steelers-Ravens game, nope, just forget it. It's just going to be Steelers-Ravens.
Yeah. And you do know that the Steelers could score multiple touchdowns in this game and yet still score less points than they did the last time. They could. I mean, my goodness. Both times they beat the Ravens last year, the score was 17-10. That was the score. So we'll see how this all plays out. I don't know how it's going to play out. All I know is that I don't expect what I saw from the Steelers on Sunday in Philadelphia to be what I see from the Steelers on Saturday against the Ravens. I don't expect that one.
Yes.
So whether or not they win, I don't know. I'm glad I don't have to make my pick tonight. I don't know, because part of mine's going to be how this injury report shapes up. So let's talk about the injury report here real quick before we go. It was a tough one to do because the Steelers were just doing a walkthrough. Now, so we had George Pickens did not practice, but what did we get? We got George Pickens working out on the side, doing things, and some good videos of Mark Cabali had a good one that said that's an elite athlete with a
grade
hamstring
2
injury, and he's sitting there on the ladder just going bonkers with his footwork. Yep. So it's like, yeah, that's promising. My goodness, Larry O was still even limited in a walkthrough, which why would you even do that for a guy that often takes off early in the week? TJ didn't do anything. That doesn't mean anything to me because TJ hasn't done anything even on a Wednesday for the last several weeks for the Steelers. So, I mean, I'd be fine if you don't even hear anything about TJ Watt participating at all until Thursday, and then he actually plays. That would not shock me. So there's still a lot that could happen there. The things that you're like, oh, it's bad that it honestly, it's different because they weren't really practicing. It was, my goodness, 48 hours removed from their last game. So anybody that had been on the injured list, on the injury list last week or dinged up in the game this week, pretty much go ahead and got listed as DNPs. Yeah. I mean, except for Larry O, which was quite surprising. So I had someone ask me a question, and I'm actually working on getting the answer. So I'm going to let you go ahead and tell me what you think about this game coming up here.
All right.
See if you're ready to give your prediction.
I am. I'm ready.
Okay.
All right.
But after you give your prediction, I'm going to answer this question, and then we'll do predictions that we read them. So just so everyone know, you don't have to sit back and wait and type it in. There's going to be another couple minutes after you give yours before you do that.
So, this is going to be another Ravens Steelers AFC North black and blue football game. What else would we expect from these two teams? If that's not what we get, that will be the surprise, is if it's something different than that. I expect it to be just that. I expect it to be, relatively low scoring. Going to be, points will be at a premium. Really, it comes down to which team, honestly, can either force more mistakes or the team that makes more mistakes is going to have a tough time winning this game. Honestly, I'd look at this one. If you maybe go right now, I'm saying it's a toss-up. Right now, I'm going to go because, after last week, just my confidence in the Steelers is down a little bit. I'm going to call this one a 20-17 Ravens.
Mm-hmm. But you really just don't, which is funny because you're kind of one of those deals that you could like. You're technically taking the Steelers
And the points.
in the points.
Yes.
The question is, will they actually take the money line? That's what I'm torn with. I think the Steelers, I would definitely take the Steelers with the points. The question is, will they be able to win the game? So I'm answering this question before we bring up scores. Okay.
Okay.
Where did I see it? I'm going back.
Really? I'm sitting there doing it, and you didn't have
I know who it is.
go?
It's Thomas. There we go. Thomas Friday says, Dave, how do the Steelers normally do when they play on a Saturday? Okay, so I thought I'd go back and look at the Steelers playing on the Saturday. Do you want to know how many times the Steelers have played on a Saturday in their franchise history, Rich? This is regular and postseason, not preseason.
You know what? I'm just going to go out with a guess because this is one of the numbers that sponsors tonight's episode. We'll just say 7.
What was the other number?
6.
Put them together.
13. Okay.
No, 67.
Oh.
Because if you go all the way back to like
yes.
the 50s and all that other stuff, the 40s, they've actually played 67 times on a Saturday, and their record is 38 total on, and you got to do the math in my head, 38-29. But if you want to look at it recently, the Steelers they've won 4 out of their last 5 on Saturdays. The last time they played on a Saturday was actually last year against the Ravens when they beat them in Baltimore. That was on a Saturday.
Yep.
Okay. They won last year against Cincinnati on a Saturday. They lost last year on a Saturday against the Colts. Okay. They won on a Saturday on Christmas Eve against the Raiders. Then to go to another Saturday game from 2022, you'd have to go all the way back to 2016, and that's the playoffs. Playoffs. That's right. We're talking about playoffs. When they beat, that was the Vontaze Burfict game, Joey Porter game, Coach Joey Porter game. They won that one. So if you're just looking regular season, the Steelers are 3-1 since, I don't know. Well, they had another regular season one in 2011, which they won. They had another regular season one in 2005, which they won. So under Coach Tomlin, in the regular season, they're 4-1 on Saturdays. So just putting that out there. All right. So now we did that. I hope everyone's getting ready. Get ready to tape them all in because I'm going to take this away. Let's hear your scores for this weekend. Well, for on Saturday, I hit it. I'm waiting for it to actually show up in there. There we go. We'll read these and call it a show. Oh, my goodness. Kathy, she was ready. I mean, ready. I missed her. There we go. She's got 16-10 Steelers. That sounds like a Steelers-Ravens game, right? Yep. Steel Dog 88 says 23-19 Steelers.
We have a 23-19.
We have a 23-19. Thomas Riley, you got to keep it up. 17-17 tie. I haven't actually read it. Do the Steelers, I don't think they clinched the division with a tie. I think if they tie, all it would take is one more Steelers win or one more Ravens loss.
Yeah.
If they tie. Yeah. Not both. Either or. So, honestly, would you take a tie in Baltimore, Rich?
Sure.
I'd have taken one in Philly. I'd take one in Baltimore. Yeah. So, TD, Tom Dessenberger, says 17-14 Steelers because Tucker misses 2 more field goals. Outside Steelers fan says good guy 17-16. Boz with the game winner. Mark, I'm going to screw it up. Derek Gaddis? I'll try. I'll go there.
It's Marky D.
Gaddis.
It's Marky D.
Marky D. That's a different Marky D. Yeah. He's got 20-10 Steelers. Mean Green's got 28-21. Our Pittsburgh Steelers. Afton has 12-15 Ravens. Jim Leoski, right? Or Leoski, because of the capital. I don't know. It has 27-24 Ravens. Dion Eaton has 22-19 Steelers. Tim Pratt. This one's for Tim.
That's for Tim and Tim's mom.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Tim.
5-3.
Tim. Next Monday, Next Monday, think about it. There you go. Just
there you
plant
go.
the seed.
Okay.
Next Monday, think about it.
Gavin Anthony has Steelers 24-20. AFL 67 has defense hurt because of the people hurt on the defense. The Ravens 2016. It's going to depend a lot on who plays for the Steelers. It really is.
Yep,
Claude
it
Bishop
is.
has 24-13 Ratbirds. Brian Brown has 18-14 Steelers. The Boz with 6 more field goals. Mr. Woodside has Ravens 23-20. Sherry Richards has 17-16 Boz with the walk-off. And that's the last score I see for now. If any more pop up.
So could you imagine?
Wait, Steeler Chick 46. Got to get this one. 17-14 Steelers.
Could you imagine the meltdown of Baltimore fans if the Steelers would go with 6 Boswell field goals and win this game 18-14, and the Steelers will have beaten the Ravens twice and never scored a touchdown? Mm-hmm. Could you imagine the meltdown going on from Ravens fans if that were to be?
I would be here for all of it.
Oh my gosh!
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing that I already love about this. The Steelers have secured a split with the Ravens at worst.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they also face them in the postseason.
Yep.
So I'm always like, the Steelers already have the upper hand. Let's just get it done. Let's just do the sweep. Yeah, I was about ready to click on it, but I was waiting until I was ready to do it because we got Russ. Got to get Russ's in there. He's got Steelers 28-21. No field goals. That would be crazy. Yeah. Rich, I still don't know what to think. I don't. I'm probably going to feel much better as the week moves on. Really, the thing that's going to make me feel better is the health of the Steelers.
Yeah.
I know Jeff Hartman has this stat of, I think it was Jeff that had it. Maybe someone else had it. That, you know how a couple of years ago it was that teams were like didn't win a game the week after playing the 49ers. Remember how the Steelers hadn't won a game for especially a short week after playing the Ravens. This year, it's the Philadelphia Eagles team is beat up on people, and teams have a pretty bad record the week after playing the Eagles. That's one to remember. But the Steelers also have a pretty good record playing in Baltimore. So you can seek comfort either way you look at it. But I will tell you this. We're not sure when we're going to be here next week.
No, we are not sure.
Because of everything. I have to have a conversation with Rich after the show. Then I have to have a meeting with Jeff and Brian because our schedule next week is going to be crazy. Not just because of the holiday, but because of a game on a friggin' Wednesday. You might see Rich and I, but not on the same day of the week that you normally see us. You might not even see us until after the Steelers play 2 more games. These are some things that are up in the air that we're still trying to iron out because, my goodness, it's going to get crazy. I will tell you our weekend content coming up is going to be slightly different because our Saturday shows can't be the same because we've got things like last-minute thoughts, and then we'll have a post-game show and all that other kinds of stuff. Russ is going. It'll be his 10th game. Well, if it's going to be your 10th game, you're probably 8-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I know what you mean there, Russ.
But
Yep.
get it.
Yeah.
Russ has had a good
another win for us.
Russ
there,
has had a good record there. So, Russ.
That's why I stayed away. I don't have a good record.
Twirl that towel for us then, Russ.
Yeah. So what I should have done was sent my wife to this game because she's never been to a game, whether it's the Steelers or not the Steelers, where the Ravens played where they've won. She's been. We were there in the stadium for a game that was not the Steelers and watched the Ravens lose, and it was magnificent. But so we're going to have a slightly different schedule come the end of the week because of the Saturday game. Then we're going to have everything kind of helter-skelter between Saturday to Wednesday. We will announce that as we get close to that, as we're trying to get it all ironed out.
Russ said that you were correct. It is 8-1.
That is all right. He got you. Yep, so. He's right. He's already counting this one as a win. Good for you, Russ. Let's do that.
Already count. Yep.
So, but of course, we're going to continue to have it. Make sure you check out SteelCurtainNetwork.com as we're continuing to break down things from the Eagles game. As we're looking forward to this game with the Ravens, we'll break that down. All kinds of stuff going on there. Whew, Rich, what do you want to say here to close us out tonight?
Well, man, things are about to get a little wild crazy for me in some ways. So, Saturday. I'm on my Christmas break by then, so
Me
I
too.
get 2 games and that. So it's like, whoa, a lot going on. Wish this game was in Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah.
No, because it's going to be cold. It's going to be cold here.
It's
So-
not going to be too warm in this area either. But
I know it's going to be even chilly down to Baltimore. So I like that whole cold thing. So, but I'll have it nice and toasty warm here at the Casa Schofield, and me, my couch, probably my Steeler blanket if it's that chilly, and some Saturday afternoon, evening football. Can't wait.
You gotta just chill out, man.
Can't wait.